Welcome to The Passion Pod with your host, Chris Johnson. Thanks for joining us. Now sit back, relax, and enjoy the feature presentation.
Season 4, Episode 6.
Welcome back, friends, for our most crystallized episode to date. Today, our guest specializes in creating unique crystal art. Welcome the owner of Afterthought Art, Alicia Hash.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me. I'm over at your house.
I know, right? Yeah.
I see all those sweet crystals all over your walls. This is a beautiful little kitchen. And what kind of plant is that? Is that a fig?
Yeah, that's a fig tree.
I have too many plants at my house
You're
now,
a
but I
plant guy.
I have a lot of plants these days. So just to start us off, what's the best way for people to follow you and contact you if they feel so inclined?
Well, you can find me under Afterthought Art on social media. So Instagram, Facebook, Etsy, stuff like that.
So how do they contact you? Do you want them to email you? Should we just put your phone number out for everyone to text?
No, no, they can just email me at afterthoughtart@gmail.com or just message me through, any social media platform. So
Except for Facebook, because you're not quite as active on that, right?
Well,
Just like
I'm
me?
trying to get better at the whole Facebook thing, but yeah.
Okay, cool. So give me a quick, brief summary of who you are and what you do.
So I'm Alicia Hash. I'm a resin artist, and I make home decor and wall art.
So how does that work? So like when I think of resin, I think of like when people pour like a poly on top of wood or something.
Right. So I kind of paint with it. I'll cast with it with silicone molds, and I make my own molds. It depends what I want to do with it, I guess.
So it's really hard for me to try to describe what I'm looking at. How do you describe it, like if somebody has no idea what you're talking about, so that way they can get a mental picture?
Basically, I make artwork that looks like real crystals and real geodes, but they're actually fake. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what it is then, right? It's like if you look at, if you're hiking around like a stream or something and you find those crystals where it's the rock with the crystals inside, it's like if you chop that in half.
Right.
That's kind of like what I think of.
Yeah.
So what was your last real job?
My last real job was probably about 10 years ago, and I was cutting hair. So.
Oh, you used to cut hair.
Yeah,
Where'd you
I
cut
went
hair
to
at?
school for cosmetology, and I worked at Great Clips for a couple years, and yeah.
Great. So that means I get free haircuts now the rest of my life, now that you're on the alumni.
There you go.
So when did you discover that creating was something you always wanted to do? Was it like as a kid you were really into the art classes and stuff, or like you did makeup on all your friends and cut their hair? When did you kind of start doing that stuff?
Yeah, I mean, since I was a kid, I've always done art or DIY or crafty stuff, and I've always been a maker.
What's the first piece of art that you remember? Like the first one that you're like, this is awesome, and you hung it up in your house?
Okay, so when I was 17, I made a piece, my grandma gave me a bunch of old buttons, and I just took a whole year collecting things off the ground and gluing them onto a big piece of canvas. And back then I was really into junk art. I'd go downtown and find random things on the ground and just walk around, and Legos and beer bottle caps and just anything weird and cool. I'd keep it. And
How old were you at this point?
I was 17, probably 17 to 18.
Do you still have that thing?
I do. It's in my garage. Yeah.
Oh my God. Okay,
that's so funny because sorry, I haven't kept anything from when I was younger, but I did. I've kept that piece for some reason.
I never kept any of my stuff. I just remember drawing little Dragon Ball Z characters and stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean,
that was about it. And then I didn't start painting until last year. Now I paint all the time.
This piece, I feel like I did a lot of walking and a lot of random finding, and I feel like I just invested a lot of my time in it, and I always just kept it. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we should definitely take a picture with it so that way we have it to post online. When did the crystal things start? It's not like a very common thing. I can't say I know anybody else that makes artwork like yours.
Well, when I was a kid, that's like what we did was we went around and rock hunted. So my grandparents owned a construction business and my dad would get us into quarries, so we'd like kind of camp out. You can't do that nowadays, but we'd camp out and just go hunting for rocks and agates and just really cool stuff. I don't know. I was always really good at it.
So then how did you learn how to do all the resin stuff? So you were interested obviously in the crystals and whatnot, but then how did that transition into making these cool like little wall art slabs and stuff?
I just wanted one on my wall and I thought I'm going to try to do it.
Yeah.
And the first piece I did turned out really good. I made a tutorial that kind of went viral and I just kept making them. And so I don't know, it took off. It's what I like. So I like to make what I like,
Did you know somebody that already made stuff like that? Or did you just like Google it and then?
No, I mean, I started with fluid painting.
Okay.
So like that's just an acrylic, mixed with like a Floetrol. And I started doing it with that and you could see the movements and I had crystals laying around and I had so much stuff laying around that I just kind of went with it,
You just started mixing stuff and that's what you kind of came up with.
I just started going for it, I guess.
Okay. So obviously everyone wants them now. You can buy them, I assume, like I bought one from you by DMing you on Instagram,
yeah.
Right? But where in general can people go to see your art and then where do they buy it?
So you could buy it online on my Etsy shop or through Instagram or Facebook. I have some things at Broom and Crow here in Eau Claire. Some things are going down to Tangled Up in Hue. And then I'll be doing I pop up around town, I guess, randomly. I'll be doing the Christmas thing at Artisan Forge. So you'll be able to find it there. But just randomly, all over, randomly.
So are you currently making enough money to like live off of exclusively this, or do you have like a side hustle?
I don't have a side hustle. So this is my hustle. Like it's like you get what you give type thing. So that's what I like about it really is you really got to hustle to make the money to live,
When did you start doing it full time? Because like for me, it was like I opened a physical store, so I couldn't just like partially do it. I just quit my jobs and did that immediately. How did your transition?
So I would say for the past year is how I've been doing it like full time. But before that, it was just kind of like for fun, I guess.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's your hustle. For me, the hustle has changed a lot because of the pandemic,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like I had to be closed for 6 weeks during my busy season. I can't get merchandise because all the stuff that's made is made overseas and now it's like not coming into the country. So it's been difficult to say the least. There's been a little bit of money trickling in from like different grants and stuff, but this year's just financially been a tough one, and thankfully it wasn't my first year doing it, although now it's like you were kind of in your first year of doing it. This is quite the challenge. So how did that affect how you did things?
Right. Well, I mean, for one, like the amount of shipping I've been doing is a lot higher. Like usually I was selling more things in person before. A lot of things got canceled throughout the whole summer. So pretty much everything that I had planned this year got canceled. So it's just, I don't know, I'm just trying to find different ways of doing it, like doing those outdoor shows. It's like go buy a tent and pop your tent up and just do it because that's your option,
How do you think so many people discovered you, like to buy your stuff? Because for me, like every single person that I deal with, whether it's like through the show or selling stuff in my store, I don't have transactions that happen that didn't come from me meeting this person.
Right. Well, I think just social media. Like, I really think it just has a lot to do with, like, people sharing it. People share it with their friends or, it's not like a common medium. And a lot of my stuff is really bright and colorful and it just, like, catches your eye. And so when people go to other people's houses, they see it and they want it. And so they find out where to get it,
I think it's important to find where your niche is with anything because a lot of people want to expand, like with a skateboard shop or something. They're like, oh, you should carry bikes or you should carry kayaks because you're near the river or whatever. And it's like, well, then you lose how genuine you are and why people seek you out in the first place. Because if you make a whole bunch of stuff, then you're not really specialized. And the reason people are going to you is because they want that very specific thing. So I think that's actually a really smart tactic to go that route. So how do you create your art these days? If you had to, like you said, you made a tutorial, right? If you had to give me a quick tutorial, if I'm going to sit here in your kitchen and we're going to make this, how do you make one?
Well, you'd have to have wood like as a base or a silicone mold. And it's a 2-part chemical and you mix it together. And then you add in different like pigments or ink, glitter, and just create, I guess.
Do you use like a brush or do you like pour it?
I pour it, yeah. I mean, I will use like a popsicle stick to like make a design or, but no, I pour it and I just kind of know from doing it so much like how it's going to react.
It's kind of like a barista who puts the little trees and stuff in coffee, right?
Yeah.
With the creamer. It's like a similar thing to that.
Right.
So art should never be a contest, in my opinion, because I've seen people who do like fantastic art that nobody seems to care about, unfortunately, because they don't know how to brand it or they don't really have like something specific they do or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just not supposed to be a contest. However, let's say that there's going to be an art contest. Okay, you're a contestant in it. You have to create one piece that the whole world's going to see. Money and time is not going to be like an issue on this one, but you're going to create one thing that's going to represent you. That's what everyone's going to see. That's what's going to be in the Super Bowl commercial. What is that thing going to look like?
I think I would make like a kind of like a geode installation. Like here's my vision, right? Like hanging colorful geodes like in the Bellagio Hotel, just like coming down and sparkling and glittering all over, just like something big and that will catch people's attention. That's a straight up real life goal. So
rather than like one specific thing, you want to give the whole experience.
Oh, it would, yeah. Oh, yes. Like I want millions of people to see it. I want like a lot of different pieces to like catch your eye all in one, so.
It'd be cool if like, have you ever been in an art show before? I assume you must have been,
right?
Yeah. Okay, how cool would it be if you had your own like room as an exhibit and had all those things hanging and stuff?
Right,
that
for
would
sure.
be so sick.
I mean, I have a lot of goals, art goals.
Okay, what are some of your goals? Because my art goals are just like, I like making stuff that puts a smile on my face, and then other people tend to like them, even though they're not good, like not technically good at all, but people seem to like them.
I don't know. I like my long-term goals are like big scale goals, like large hotels, doing installations or like full walls, stuff like that. Like,
I could see that. Like, you walk into the Oxbow or something and their front desk behind it has
like,
whatever, but it was all your stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool.
I know you can actually find my work too on the second floor of the Oxbow.
Really?
The whole floor has my work. Yeah.
Wild. How did that connection happen?
Just people, like friends, through friends. And that's just, I feel like that's kind of how this works. It's like just people knowing people and showing them. And yeah.
I think it's crazy. Like, I don't think people realize how important networking is, and social networking as well, like through the, social networking apps.
Right.
That stuff, like, you don't, not to say that your stuff isn't the best, because your stuff is the best thing that like I've ever seen with my eyes.
Oh, geez. Oh, that's so sweet.
But in general, it's all about whether or not somebody wants to work with you, and they always like have the person attached to it. So that's what sucks about when you see a lot of artists that aren't successful, and it's like, well, but if people don't know who you are, it doesn't matter how good it is. You have to have both of those types of things.
You really do. And I don't know, when I first started like actually thinking that this art thing could be like a real thing, somebody told me like, you just need to shamelessly show your art to everybody, because how would they know if they like it or not if they haven't even seen it, So that's just, I don't know. That's just what I do. I show people, they show other people, everybody shows everybody, and it just comes back around, I guess.
Yeah, and you have to let go, and I've said this before on the show, but people need to let go of this whole weird, like, modesty thing, when it's coming to your business, it's not about promoting yourself as like you're the coolest person in existence, although you
Right.
are, but that's
Oh
not
my
the point.
gosh, yeah.
But the point is, like, if you're not willing to promote and say, hey, I think this thing I create is something that people want to buy.
Right.
If you don't promote it in that way, then why is anyone else going to think it's worth anything?
Right,
Like somebody
exactly.
has to start somewhere. So you have to believe in what you're doing. And if you don't believe in what you're doing, then you probably shouldn't put it out in the first place. You should probably work on it a little bit more. That's
Yeah,
kind of how I
agree.
feel about it. You know what I
I
mean?
agree. I mean, I guess I just don't make anything that I don't like. Like
Right.
I just keep making what I like, and everybody else hopefully will like it too, you know.
Oh, I'm sure they will. And the larger of a following you have, it's nice because you don't have to have 90% of the people want to buy it. You just need to have one
Right.
person out of that 5,000, 10,000, or whatever that want to buy it. I just
Right.
made, I have that rose logo that I made, and I just made t-shirts, a few of them in pink. Well, like I don't really sell a lot of pink stuff through my store, but through my following, guaranteed there's a handful of people that want pink.
Oh, for
You know
sure.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So you always kind of have to like pivot a little bit with business things. You have an idea of how you want to do something. It's never going to go exactly the way that you want, even if you like have a meticulous outline. If you stick to a meticulous outline, you're probably missing a lot of opportunities and you're holding yourself back. You have to have a general idea, but you have to be willing to kind of adjust as things go by.
Yep.
How has your vision for your business kind of changed over time from when you started?
So, I mean, that's a hard question to answer because when I started it, I, made the name Afterthought Art because it was an afterthought to even sell my art, But for two, I wanted it to be kind of open because I like so many different things and learning so many different things that I've kind of always known that my art was going to be a little fluid. And so I just kind of go with the flow. I don't know. Whatever comes at me, I take it on. If I have an idea, it's either good or bad type thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Has there been any like major sacrifices or compromises that you've had to do just for the sake of like it working out financially?
I think maybe the thing I would say is the, social media, advertising, uploading, it takes a lot of time. But other than that, not really. When I'm with like my family or my kids, I don't work. And when I'm not with them, I work like the whole time. So I'm not sacrificing really anything. I feel like it's kind of like a yin and yang. I'm like balancing it right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the people who are most successful are when they recognize the right opportunities that pop up.
Right.
And they take advantage of those. I was talking to
Yes.
somebody yesterday about this, about how he was like, yeah, well, I have, all these photos I lined up for my social media, and he's like, I got all these ready to go and I'm going to be releasing them. And I'm like, well, maybe you should just chill for a second. I'm like, if you want to change the idea of where your page is going, which is what he was talking to me about, he wanted to do some adjustments. I'm like, if you're trying to change where that's going, it's not going to happen just like immediately.
Right.
You should look at what tools you have, right? Which photos you have, which collaborations you have, in your case, like which art pieces you have. And don't necessarily put them out tomorrow. Look at when are you going to have the most impact when you put this thing
Right.
out, and wait until that moment.
Right.
That's when it's important to do it. It'd be the same way for me to release a whole bunch of skateboards in January just because I'm done with them.
Right, yeah.
That'd be a horrible idea.
Yeah.
Like you got to wait for those types of things. And if you're really good at doing that, you can do a lot in a surprisingly small amount of time.
That's true.
Which is like the beautiful part about working for yourself is it just gets easier.
Right. It
You know
does.
what I mean?
It does. And, you find ways to work smarter and not harder. And so I think that's a huge thing for me is I try to work smarter, not harder. And, like have more time for like myself and things I like to do too, because there's, things other than art, I guess.
Absolutely. So what are some of the other things outside of art that you're into?
For me, I'm into like music. This year's so different. Like usually I would be at like the concerts and stuff like that and like some open mic nights and karaoke, but this year's a little different, I guess.
What else besides music? I mean, I like going to shows and stuff, and I like going to shows a lot more now. I never grew up playing music or anything, but now that I've had some of the local musicians on the show, now I'm like so much more excited to go
like
out.
Scotty or
Yeah, I'm like, these are my homies. Like, I want to go represent and be there. That sounds
Right?
awesome. But for me, like, I'm really into scuba diving. That's my other like main thing. And honestly, once I went surfing a few years ago, I'm like, this is what I'm gonna be doing in my 40s and 50s for sure. Or I like riding my bicycle a lot. I biked across the state a couple of years ago.
Oh, that's
There's
cool.
like a lot of different little avenues. Art's the biggest one.
Right. I would say, I mean, I do spend a lot of my off time doing art, which is, you know, I would say more like I call those like passion projects, you know, where maybe it's not something that is like I have made to order or for sale. It's just something I want to do like for myself, my own project, you know.
Well, and sometimes things totally change anyways because your thoughts and interests change. So maybe you're not going to be making this kind of art in 10 years.
Right.
It's very possible you're going to stumble upon something else that's
Exactly.
really cool.
And I'm sure I will, you know, and that's like the cool thing about it is there's always going to be something that needs to come out of my mind.
So if all of a sudden tomorrow I was like, look, somebody else copyrighted this, you can't make this anymore. You're going to get sued. You got to do something else. If you had to pick something totally different to start creating tomorrow, what's it going to be?
I feel like there's just so many things that I want to do, you know. For one, like I want to make fake, like really big geodes. I want to make like a fake big geode chair where like you and your friends can come and sit and like for photos. I guess I can't make geodes, huh? I'd figure something out. You know what I mean?
I like the idea of geodes, though. That's cool,
right.
Because then it's more like...
Or like it'd be more like a sculpture
right.
but I mean, I like a lot of abstract work. Just weird, anything like different and weird, I guess. I don't know.
That's the beautiful part of doing artwork is it doesn't have to fit in any kind of box. Just because you sell a lot of like your wall art doesn't mean that you have to exclusively make wall art.
For sure.
So when you're having a tough day, what are some outlets that you turn to help you get back on track?
For sure it would be music. That's pretty much what I do. I just always listening to music and like dancing, and I think I waste a lot of time dancing to music in my studio when I should be working, but you know.
Twerk skills up on Legendary?
No, I'm like a music connoisseur. Like I need new music every week.
Okay, so this is a question. I don't know what made me think of this in the past, but I thought about it one day and I'm like, okay, what would you rather have? Would you rather wake up every day with a $5 bill that just showed up on your bedside table, or a new song that you really like that you've never heard?
A new song for sure. You'd have to give me a very high dollar amount to not take the music.
See, you're like the only person that agrees with me on this, because I'm like, look, $5 a day. I don't know.
No way.
Yeah, I'm like, that's like what, $1,500 a year? So, I don't know. Not that significant of an amount of money. You'd get used to that amount of money. But I'm always trying to find something new, and I have to listen through a bunch of songs I don't even like just to find one. If I could have a new song all the time, that would be great.
That's like a thing I do, you know, if I'm working down there for like 2 hours and I have to get a bunch of orders done, it's like somebody send me a new album or like a new artist, and I'll just smash through that whole album, you know? And then I'll start picking out the songs that I really like, and then that goes into a playlist. Like, it's a whole issue for me, really.
Yeah, I'm always on the Spotify thing of like daily mixes. All of a sudden, I'll find one song by an artist I'm not familiar with, and I'm like, perfect, because now I can go to that artist's radio station. I'm finally going to hear new stuff.
Yeah.
Versus today, I was just throwing it back to Outkast. I was like,
oh yeah,
I mean,
that's
radio.
fun too. Yeah, but no, and then like if I like the artist, I'll like research about them and like figure out like how they got started with, you know, music and where they came from, and it's music is a huge thing for me. So yeah.
So there's a lot of cool things about working for yourself, obviously. Like for me, I knew when I opened, I'm like, one of the cool things is just buying all the skateboard stuff I could have ever wanted. And I don't get to keep it. I'm selling it, but still I can just buy all the things that I wanted. But I knew that was going to be something I would like doing. Mm-hmm. One of the things I didn't really realize I would like doing is all the networking that comes with it.
Hey.
It's so fun that like when I go out places, people recognize me because of what I do, but then I also know them because of what they do, because we had connected at some kind of whatever event, you know, downtown had some kind of thing, a market, or we both donated to the same type of event, or we both sponsored the show or whatever. I didn't realize that making all these friends that aren't related to skateboarding anyway were going to be like, I didn't realize that was going to be something I was going to enjoy so much.
Right.
And it's like this really awesome effect. What's been one of your favorite parts about doing what you do that you didn't really expect to be part of it?
I mean, I think the same kind of thing. Like, I've met so many people and so many people that kind of like have my same views and visions. And, so I think it just has really brought like a collective of people around me that just help to lift me up and keep doing what I'm doing. I don't know. Other things unexpected, like you said too, the whole social media and, that whole hustle. I don't know. That's just so hard for me. Like,
So who are some of those people that you're talking about that you like to surround yourself? For me, I mean, so far, the ones that I really appreciate are all of the alumni of the show, because you guys all gave me your time, and I've done a lot of cool collabs with a lot of them, where it's
Right.
not just like the one conversation. It's after
Right.
that I'm making graphics with these people, or we're like in general like doing all this work stuff later on. So for my people, I'd say, yeah, go back and look at all the alumni. Follow me on Instagram at passion_pod for the podcast, or passion board shop. All of them, I post their stuff all the time. So
Right.
you'll see all the things we do together. But who are some of the people that you've worked with?
So I would have to say, like, just a lot of the different artists in Eau Claire. When I started doing art, I had no idea. I was just making it, right? So I had no idea, like, artists would make art series or, like different terms, or even like down to doing like an outdoor show where people just kind of gathered in. It was windy, my first show. People just like hovered around me and they're like, here's a side to your tent. Here's some bungee cords. I think that that's been the most important to me, is like other artists basically teaching me and helping me and connecting me with other artists to figure out what I'm doing,
Yeah. Having that kind of peer support is fantastic.
Right, for sure.
Okay, so let's talk about the future a little bit. So, like, what's next for me? Not that anyone really cares. I'm currently recording season 4. I'm going to try to hammer out season 5 before the springtime hits, and I'm going to drastically increase the number of passion things that I'm making, because I just like creating stuff, not just like painting, but I'm doing a lot of digital art that's going to come out on a lot of different like apparel and stuff. I'm trying to do a lot more collabs with a lot of different people that
We should do something.
we are.
Should,
We're gonna do something.
Right?
That's for sure. What's like kind of the future for you? What's the immediate things that people can expect to see?
So right now for me, I feel like I'm just going to try to get through Christmas. Like it's just going to be a lot of creating and a lot of just turning things out to make sure everybody's getting the gifts that they want, I guess. That's pretty much my focus right now. It's go time right now for the Christmas rush. So
Isn't it cool that you're not so focused on like promo in this particular moment, that there's enough demand that you're like, I just need to pump out stuff.
right, I mean that's true. Like that's how I feel right now. Is I'm literally just trying to keep up, and right now I'm seriously trying to get ahead so that I don't fall behind for Christmas.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I have the same type of thing every year, because my busy season, I mean, it's whenever the snow melts.
right.
When the snow melts, like, I don't have time to do anything
Yeah.
in my store. When I'm there, I'm helping people the whole time, which is awesome. So thanks to everybody that comes to my store. But today's, days like today, we just had our first snowstorm,
Right.
which October, God,
I
I'm getting
know.
sick of that stuff. But anyway, so we had the snowstorm. So no one's coming in to look at skateboards today. Like, come on.
Right.
So I literally had nobody come in my store the whole 6 hours that I was there.
Yeah.
However, I got a whole bunch of other stuff done. I finally found a good vendor to make patches, right?
There you
Like
go,
iron-on
yep.
patches. And I already like have a wholesale account to get any kind of blanks that I want, t-shirts or jackets or like whatever. So I had a huge box of stuff, and I made a bunch of merchandise just while I was just sitting there
Right.
listening to music,
Yep. I know.
And
That's
creating
the
stuff.
best life, right?
Right. So that's what I'm be doing over this whole winter now, is like going into the winter season. I have a little bit of a rush for Christmas, but in general, like most of my business is not when there's snow on the ground.
Right.
But I'm going to be trying to make a bunch of different like artwork stuff. I'm going to be working on a lot of digital art and a lot of these different collabs that I don't have time to do when there's
Right, when you're busy
customers,
with customers,
which
yeah.
like that's why I make money. But realistically, you have to sow the seeds to make the money later. So I'm
Right,
going to
you
hopefully
do.
be getting a lot of stuff ready that will end up being, really beneficial to me later on.
Right.
Okay, so I ask this question on every single episode, because I think that we get to live pretty like unique careers. Like the
Right.
whole like way our life works is pretty different, and
Yep.
most people, they get excited about different things with their jobs. It's usually like promotions or something,
Okay.
or maybe their boss they hated is gone and now somebody else comes in,
Right.
and that's what makes them stoked. But for us, it's like different things. For me, the biggest one that's like always happening is when kids come in to get their first skateboard for their birthday. That's like an experience that I'm really thankful I get to be a part of, and I get like excited because there's the child in me that's like, oh man, I wish this was my board,
Right,
and I get to
yeah.
pick out all the stuff and set it up. What's an experience that you've had that you're really grateful happened to you, but the only reason that you had that happen was because you're doing your art thing for a career?
I'd say the first time that I got a really big order. It was a pretty substantial order for some big pieces that went out to the Hamptons. And I think that is kind of what kicked it off for me, where I was like, whoa, I can really do this as like a full-on career. And I think, I don't know, it was like just that moment too. I was like, I don't know if this is for real. You know what I mean? This is kind of a lot, But yeah, that experience I think really kind of threw me into it, where I was like, I am doing this because this is fun and I love it. And it's like, it's a real gig,
It's crazy when you have recognition like that you just weren't like expecting,
I was not expecting it. I mean, the woman got a lot of big pieces for her home. And I mean, to me, it was just something, I don't know, it's like a pinch me moment where I'm like, this can't be real.
Yeah, it's like, wow, people actually like
Right.
what I'm doing that
And
much?
they're like
Yeah.
willing to, spend the money on it. Cause I kind of felt like I put a highball tag on there because I thought maybe maybe I'll never really sell anything. I don't know. I didn't really know. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I mean, even like for me, this happened not that long ago. That made me think of something with like my artwork stuff, because I certainly don't make a lot of money selling paintings and stuff. I just like paint. Honestly, I just paint goofy little monsters on things because I
Yeah.
like doing it, and I don't want to
Right.
have that many in my house.
Right.
So I trade them to other artists, so that way I have other cool art in my house,
Right.
and I post them on Instagram or whatever. But somebody not that long ago hit me up, and they're like, "Hey, I really want to buy a painting for my girlfriend. She really likes your art," because her girlfriend had previously bought paintings of mine. She has like some in her house. She's like, "I really want to get her one for her birthday. Would you be down? Like, would you mind making one for her?" And I was like,
Right.
"Yeah, like sure, if you really want me to. What do you want me to do?" I'm like, "Is it like certain colors or something? What is it that you want?" She was like, "No, we just like your artwork. So
Right.
for her birthday, if
Yeah.
you can get something done by this date, whatever you want, that would be fantastic."
That's really cool.
Right. And I'm like, it's not like it's a significant amount of money,
Right.
but it
No,
still
but
was
it's-
like, you like it enough that you're reaching out to me specifically. I'm like,
Right.
that's really cool.
That's almost my favorite, when people just message me and they're like, hey, I had this idea. Do you think you can do it? It's like, yes. No matter what, when somebody asks me to do something, I automatically say yes. Give me time because I have a workload. Give me time, but I'm going to figure it out and I'm going to do it. And I'm going to do what what you wanted. And I don't know, it's a challenge. I like the challenge.
Well, and like people get like uncomfortable sometimes because they're like, what if I can't deliver? It's like, well, in this type of a industry, like any kind of creative thing, you need to remember this isn't like comparing your car to somebody else's car.
Right.
If somebody reached out to you specifically, they like what you do and they like the
Yeah.
fact that it's made by you. So you
Exactly.
can't, as long as you put your best effort into it, you're not going to mess it up.
Right.
Like that's not going to happen.
That's how I feel too. Like, people that get a hold of me, my style is pretty noticeable, I guess, or what you're kind of going to get, it might be a little bit glittery or a little bit more of this or, whatever. But yeah, like I assume when people get a hold of me, they know kind of what it's going to be like. When they get it, I love their reaction where they're like, whoa, I did not think it would be like this, but
Well, it's really cool if they've never seen it before. That's like when it's awesome when you're creating stuff constantly. And that's what I love so much about painting. Like I've been doing a lot of graphic art right now because I have to do, I I don't have to, but I'm enjoying doing these like little collabs with people, and like
Yep.
a lot of them want artwork, which is great, but I can't use acrylic paintings for that.
Right.
But that's one of the things that I absolutely love about doing paintings for people is they've never seen that painting before. Like
Right.
they know the general style of it, but they've never seen that exact one. So it's like that reveal kind
Yeah.
of moment. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
for sure.
So we learn things, right, throughout this whole time frame. You always end up messing up on this, that, or whatever. Like I've definitely bought merchandise that I'm like, I shouldn't have bought that
Oh, yeah,
merchandise, or
yeah.
I like should have had security long before I got broken into, or whatever.
Right.
Like you learn stuff. What is a lesson that you learned throughout this time frame that you think could be helpful to other people if they were aware of it?
Ooh, I think I've learned so many lessons. I think the main one is like just remember that everybody kind of starts from somewhere, you know? And you just got to work your way up. Like just keep doing it, keep learning. I don't know. I think that's the biggest lesson. I've made so many mistakes, right? But for me, and I feel like for this medium too, you can't learn the medium unless you mess up a bunch. Like it's a hard, medium to work with. So yeah, the lesson is you're probably going to mess up, and that's how you learn.
Awesome advice. Jacob Haig, who is a guest on the show, said something similar, and I guess I would reiterate that one just because I really attached to that one. He said, look, however bad you are at something right now, you're never going to be worse at it.
Right.
You're just going to get better
Yeah.
at it. So you might as well make 10 more garbage ones because they're
Yes.
not going to be worse. They're
Right.
going to keep getting better. So just put the time in and everything will pay off.
It's so true. And I even like keep a lot of my stuff that I've messed up so I can look at it, So it's like, hey, don't get your head too big because you have messed up a lot,
Thank you for joining us for this episode of The Passion Pod. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. We'll see you soon.